In today's video I show you how I turned a few very simple photos of this small brandless cuticle bottle, which I just took on a blank piece of paper with my good old iPhone 11, and I turned it into this fully animated hero design. The website loads with a dark backlit scene that softly reveals the product, and then when you scroll the logo slides up while the bottles relocate to line up and the navigation and the tagline fade in. I built this entire animation with AI using only Claude Code and Lovart. I would like to quickly thank Lovart for sponsoring this video and for being the first company to believe in me, and although I'm being paid to use their software today, I'll be just as honest as always, you can absolutely count on that. So alongside creating today's website hero, I'll also occasionally point out what does and doesn't work well when using Lovart. And make sure to stick around till the end as I prepared a small free gift for you as a thank you for watching. I always sketch the concept in Figma to start with a strong concept and clear visual reference images. The image you're seeing here is the start frame of a video. The video plays and then it ends on this frame here. And the moment the video reaches its final frame, it gets quietly replaced by 4 separate images, the background and then a transparent image of each of the 3 bottles. And this swap is called a handoff, and I wanted it to be an invisible handoff, which just means that the user should never see the moment that the video turns into the images. No flicker, no jump, nothing. And the reason I do it this way is that a video can't be interactive, but separate images can. Once the handoff is done and the 3 bottles are their own layers, the website becomes scrollable, and that's when the second part happens. As you scroll, the bottles line up horizontally, and at the same time the logo slides up from the bottom, from behind the bottles into its place. And this part is tied directly to your scroll position. And then when the logo reaches the top, the navigation bar and the tagline fade in and the hero is in its end state. To show all of this to Claude, I used these 3 images as reference images. The first one is the frame where the bottles are fully lit in a warm beige studio setting, and I chose that beige very deliberately because I wanted it to feel complementary to the bottles themselves, and I even wanted the textures of the wooden cap to match the wooden pedestal underneath. Then the second reference image shows the scroll state about halfway through, with the logo falling behind the 3 bottles as they relocate. And the third one shows the final end state, and these last 2 were really important because they were the references that showed Claude exactly how I wanted the logo to behave while scrolling and what the finished hero should look like. The font I used for the word mark is Aberito, and with the letters spaced out it has this quiet, elegant look that suits a product like this really well. And for the body text and navigation I used Nodo Serif, and both are free Google fonts, and that's really the whole concept. Before I show you how I made these visuals in Lovart, I want to briefly show you how the app works and what makes it different from other AI aggregator sites like Higgsfield or Artlist for example. And for me there are 2 main differentiators. The first is that Lovart is built around an infinite canvas, so instead of organizing your visuals in folders or a grid, you have everything on a single canvas. And whether that's better really depends on your own preference I think, but I really enjoyed it. It feels similar to how I sometimes use Figma and then just drop in a bunch of assets and then have them all in one place to build from. I used a new canvas for each project so you can still stay organized, and the upside is that it feels so much more intuitive to stay on one single canvas, and being able to click any image and adjust it however you like feels so much more intuitive. The downside is that it can get cluttered when you have a project with hundreds of visuals. So what I did to keep it tidy was draw these boxes around the visuals I actually wanted to use and leave the rest as they are, and that way of categorizing worked great for me. The second one, and this is the biggest upside in my experience, is the AI agent. Instead of using buttons to switch between image and video models and to set things like the quality and the ratio and the model, you can just talk to an agent and ask for those things, and this is such a big difference. And other apps do have agents too, but here you can simply select an image on the canvas and ask it to create 8 variations for example, or you can create 2 images and ask for a video in between, and this felt super intuitive and it makes it very easy to stay on brand. Something to keep in mind is that because you prompt for everything instead of selecting options from buttons and menus, it's easy to forget something. For example, I burned some tokens by generating an image without mentioning the ratio. Under the hood you still get the state-of-the-art models like Nano Banana, ChatGPT Image, Seedance and Kling. So for this project I started by uploading the simple photos I took with my iPhone, and they're relatively low quality. I'm just attached to my older iPhone, but that's no problem for the AI model that I used for this project. The key is to use photos from different angles, to use a plain contrasting background and to make sure that the textures are clearly visible. I prompted for a beige background with a soft gradient with 3 bottles each on their own walnut wooden pedestal. I generated 4 images at once and I was happy with the first result. I especially like this one here and I upscaled it right on the canvas with the built-in upscaler. The next step was the logo, and the way that I did this was I roughly placed the textual logo onto the bottle in my photo editor, just as a reference for where I wanted it. And then I gave Lovart that reference together with an image of the logo as white text on a black background, because I wanted the logo to read as white on the bottle. And it understood that perfectly. This is ChatGPT's image model, which is the default if you don't ask for anything else. And in a few other images I did notice that the hands looked a little plastic, so for those I switched to Nano Banana, which has my personal preference for those cases. Once I had the version with the logo, I only used that image as a reference from then on. For example, when I wanted a dark version with the lights off and just a soft backlight, I generated it from that same image and that became the start frame of the video. Then I connected the start frame and the end frame and asked for a transition in between, and that gave me the video. It is really as simple as selecting 2 images on the canvas and then prompting for a video to connect them. And finally I needed the transparent versions of the bottles, which I also did directly on the canvas in Lovart. If you click an image you get all these editing options like upscaling and multi-angles, which allows you to create multiple versions of an image with different angles. And I chose the remove background option and it's done. For the hero I only used 2 prompts. The first prompt is all about that invisible handoff that I mentioned earlier. So I told Claude to first play the video once and then the exact moment that the video reaches the final frame, swap the video out for the 4 stacked images. And the trick is to layer those images directly on top of the video in the same position and size and keep them hidden and only reveal them once the video ended. And the result is a hero that feels like a single continuous thing, even though it's quietly going from video to images. The second prompt is a scroll animation. The first half is what is called a scrubbing effect. This means that the animation is bound directly to your scroll position. So as you scroll down it plays forward, and as you scroll up it plays in reverse, like you're scrubbing through a video timeline. The second half of the animation is the finishing load-in transition. Once the logo has slid all the way up, it resizes down into the navigation bar at the top, and only after it settles do the navigation buttons and the tagline fade in one after the other, so it feels deliberate instead of everything appearing at once. And honestly, 2 prompts got me very close to what I had in mind, mostly because those reference images were doing the heavy lifting, and that's what I keep coming back to. When the reference images are clear and you have a detailed yet focused prompt, your results become very reliable. The only things that I adjusted was the sizing of the quote at the top center, and that was it. So with the hero finished, there was one last thing that I wanted to show you. I wanted to take this video a step further by showing you how you can create an on-brand mockup to showcase the hero section that we just made. And for this part I used a Lovart feature called skills, and this works very similar to how skills in Claude work. It's basically a set of rules that you can refer to when generating new visuals. To create a skill in Lovart, you open a new chat and ask it to write a skill based on something you created earlier or something specific you have in mind. For example, I tagged a few images from my canvas and asked for a skill that would generate similar product images and mockups. And now in the future I can just select that skill and simply ask for more visuals. And these images come out so professional with almost no effort. You can see here I created a whole set of on-brand visuals at once just by referring to the skill. And that's also how I made this base image for the mockup. With Lovart you can export an image as a PSD file, which is convenient because the mockup is the one part where I still prefer to use Photoshop over any other photo editor. In Photoshop I just place a screen recording of the website on top of the generated image and make sure it fits the screen nicely. Then I open the timeline panel and create a new timeline. And finally I match the lengths of the layers in the timeline and I export it as a video, and that's it. Now you have a beautiful on-brand way to share your website hero. So that's the full build, a very unique and fully animated website hero made with AI from just a few low-resolution iPhone photos. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you'd like to see more designs that I built with AI, then please subscribe to my channel. And as a thank you for watching, I've added a free download link in the description with the website design files, the visuals I made, the Lovart skill I created, and a full Notion guide with all the prompts I used in this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.